wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than them. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. We are marching for a certainty. And it's not only the certainty that we will arrive at the day of victory for the unborn, it is a certainty that the power which now dismembers them and crushes them and throws them in the garbage is a power which at its roots has already been defeated.
Well, I'll tell you, Father Frank, it's amazing that we're actually sharing the stage with you. When Jason and I were kids, we met you in 1988.
Yes.
You look the exact same. He's got the same hair, the same glasses, and the same outfit. In 1991, that was the height of abortion. It was 2,197 freestanding abortion clinics in America. Today, thanks to the work of Priests for Life and other organizations and Christians and Catholics joining hands and uniting for life, there are less than 600 freestanding abortion clinics in America.
Well, hello. It's, of course, Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. I know no one had come to on a Thursday. But because we had the Republican convention this week, I just didn't want to interrupt anything you were doing and watching that to have you tune into me. So I thought I would just take a break and come to you today now that the convention is over. So, of course, today, as you know, Dr. Alveda King is part of our pastoral team. Today is a very special day. It's the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. And I know some people are wondering, Alveda King, did you go to D.C. to be there with other members of your family? And so the answer was no, she didn't. And for no other reason than the COVID-19 restrictions. Alveda has her mom, Miss Naomi Barbara King, who lives with her, and Miss Naomi's well into her late 80s. And unfortunately, Miss Naomi, she didn't have COVID-19, but in January she had pneumonia and she's quite sick. So Alveda doesn't want to do any flying right now for a few months. In fact, she's doing all her trips virtually. And she's doing that so that she doesn't expose herself on planes and with people, even with social distancing and masks, and take a chance to bring anything home to her dear mama. So you should know that Alveda is still doing a lot on social media. Every Wednesday, she has a program here like I do during the week. At 3:30, you'll see Alveda here repeating at 7. So just to know, she's really active, but she was not in D.C. today. Well, looking back at this RNC convention, someone just asked me what was my favorite talk. Well, I thought all the talks, and the question came, what was your favorite speech from mine was Sister Deirdre. Okay, got that, Brian. Okay, well, there were several speeches that were my favorites, and I'm going to play 2 of them for you during this show. And the first one is going to be Abby Johnson, which she, as you know, was a former Planned Parenthood director of a clinic in Texas, and of course left the industry many years ago. What I'm going to play it first, and then I'll take some more questions, but I'm going to give you some commentary about why both her and Sister Deirdre was so historic for the pro-life movement. So let's remind ourselves how good Abby Johnson's clip was. So take a look.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood, but today I'm a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, "Abortion is how we make our money." But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty." The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run And Then There Were None, a nonprofit organization that's helped nearly 600 abortion workers transition out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs, or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real. I know what it sounds like. I know what abortion smells like. Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator to these babies, to these women. And I now support President Trump because he has done more for the unborn than any other president. During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day. Life is a core tenet of who we are as Americans. And this election is a choice between 2 radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had. That's something that should compel you to action. Go door to door, make calls, talk to your neighbors and friends, and vote on November 3rd. Take action that reelects our president, and do it with our very most vulnerable Americans in mind, the ones who haven't been born yet.
Very powerful, right? But what you have to understand was so historic about Abby doing that was simply this. Anyone who spoke during this convention, whether it was the Republican or the Democrat convention, first of all, they're vetted very carefully. They can write their speech, and give it in, and then it might be edited or modified, but they have to approve every single word that they're going to say, and then they're probably reading it from a teleprompter. The reason being is they want to control the message. So what is so historical, you might ask? Very simply. All the way back in 2000, 2004, I worked on the Catholics for Bush campaign as a private citizen. And those conventions, you never even heard the word abortion, the A word. All right. And then even in the other conventions subsequently after that, never heard the. Now we have, granted, good politicians, Republican politicians, that pass and vote on good pro-life legislation, but you don't hear them talk about abortion. They're afraid to. Donald Trump is the first president that back in 2016, when he was debating Hillary Clinton, he described late-term abortion and challenged her on it. And now at this convention, Abby Johnson once again tells everybody about abortion, describes it. Her comment that abortion has a smell? Most might be saying, is that really true? Well, you know what was happening? When that speech was given, I was getting text messages from some of the women from Silent No More saying, oh my gosh, when she said that hit a chord with me. Oh my goodness, I know what she's talking about. I remember that smell. Even though they've gone through healing, they remember the smell of abortion. So imagine now, you maybe missed that speech if you didn't watch all the speeches this week. But I want you, it's on YouTube, it's on our Priest for Life pages. Get it out there, because this is the truth about abortion. And what Abby says, this is, this election, it's so clear. One party is 100% in pro-death, abortion till birth, and the other party is pro-life. We've never before had such a clear division, so obvious out in the open. So this was so historic. It really was. And I'm so excited about it, because I think this will give more candidates the courage to speak about abortion and get the truth out there. The other thing that was fabulous was, because it was carried over so many media outlets, the convention, a lot of people got to hear the truth about abortion. They heard Abby's testimony. So, I just really hope that you all take that and run with it. Because, it brought tears to my eyes. I've been in this movement for 3 decades. And to hear such a clear description of abortion that they all had to listen to, I was happy. Of course, I'm sure CNN didn't play it. There's certain media outlets I'm sure didn't play it. But those who did, many, many people saw Abby's interview. So if you have a question for me, even though I'm showing you a few clips, I want to hear from you. What would you like to do for the election? We could use your help. You can just go to prolifevolunteer.com. That's prolifevolunteer.com. Fill out that form and join Father Pavone and myself and our whole staff and team here. We can tell you things to do to help in this election. Well, now we have a question from Laureen Mendelson, and she said, what can we do to fight against Planned Parenthood? Well, what we can do is vote pro-life, numero uno thing, because President Trump has made a commitment. He has run on promises made, promises kept. And one of the things he did do in the Mexico City policy, he restricted funding once again for abortion overseas. And of course, the Democrat candidate has already said the first thing he'll do in office is totally undo that so that more funding goes overseas for abortion through international Planned Parenthood. That's right. Planned Parenthood is not just here in the United States. They're international. So we do know that if we do reelect our president, and if we can get more people in the Senate, and if we can take back control of the House, they are committed to defund Planned Parenthood totally. So the question was, how can we get rid of Planned Parenthood? Vote pro-life in this election and get as many people as you can out to do the same thing. And then in the next few years, we will see the funding and the diminishing of Planned Parenthood. Yes, we will. One word of encouragement, though, I can give you is, a number of years ago, there was, I would say, close to 3,000 abortion clinics all over the United States. And that number has dropped to now, I think we're just under 600. So we've made progress, but we have to have a lot more progress than that. I don't want to see one left. So let's get out there and do something for this election, and let's vote pro-life, and let's get Planned Parenthood finally defunded. Okay, we have another question. Mark Allen Brown, he said, how can you be a Christian and support the Democratic agenda? I don't think you can. What you have to do is, and this will bring me to a really good point. Priests for Life, what we've done, it's actually just going to our printer today. We have developed what's called a party comparison. We've picked 6 issues, all right? And of course, it's abortion, Planned Parenthood, school choice. I'm trying to think of the other 2 areas, but there's 6 different issues, all right? And what we do is we show you, I'll say on Planned Parenthood, here's the position of the Democratic Party, here's the position of the Republican Party. Straight from their party platform. We even give the page number that we lifted the quote from. So we're sending this out to our printer right now. It's all 6 topics. In this side is the Democrat, this side is the Republican, and it makes it quite clear that how can you, like you just said, be a Christian and vote Democrat? Because they're against everything that the Bible tells us to be for. And then what's great about this party comparison is one side is in English and the other side is in Spanish. And we'll get it to you free of charge to distribute to your church, your groups, whatever you would like. Very simply, just go to prolifeproducts.org. That's prolifeproducts.org. And you can put a order in now, a pre-order for the party comparison. And as soon as we're probably going to get them around Labor Day weekends, okay, maybe a few days after that, and we'll get them out to you right away. Because nothing can convince people more who have a sense of conscience and morals how to vote when they see the platform of these 2 parties. It is really a difference between dark and light, or good and evil. That's how stark the difference is. So again, that's the party comparison. Go to prolifeproducts.org. We'll get them out to you as soon as possible. And by the way, it's 501c3 3 friendly. So that also means that your churches can distribute it at any of their services, because it's totally acceptable. And we have legal letters from attorneys from Alliance Defending Freedom that tell you so. So you can, on our website, we'll have a link where you can download the letter and take that to your pastor so he feels very comfortable about distributing the party comparison. So go to our website, prolifeproducts.org, place your order for the party comparison. Okay, we have another question. This comes from Christy Ford. How can we educate folks about Sanger's original reasons for this horrible organization? That would be an eye-opener to many of our Black brothers and sisters. Well, there has been something out. It's called Ma'afa 21. It was produced by Life Dynamics, a good friend of ours, Mark Crutcher. Alveda King actually helped consult on it, and other Black leaders in the pro-life movement. It exposes everything about Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, and more. If you just go, I do believe they have it now on YouTube. So it's Ma'afa, which is MAAFA and the number 21. So just Google that on YouTube and you'll see Ma'afa 21. So many, I can't tell you how many copies when it first came out. I think it must have come out over a decade ago. But when Ma'afa 21 first came out, that Mark Crutcher did, Alveda was tremendous in getting it out. And members of the pro-life Black coalition that she has founded. And so many hearts and minds and pastors have been changed by watching Ma'afa 21. So if you haven't seen Ma'afa 21, again, Google it on YouTube, watch it, and take that link and get the word out and spread it. All right? Let's see. Next question. Linda Morgan, she said, what can we do to motivate our bishops to strongly speak up for life? I don't know. What can we do? You know, we have some great bishops and they speak out all the time. And others are very silent. And unfortunately right now, the church is pretty divided, unfortunately, meaning there's bishops who, I guess you would call them Pope. I call them Pope Francis bishops. And then there's bishops who I call St. John Paul II bishops. And the St. John Paul II bishops understand that abortion and euthanasia, those are foundational issues that are so important. But what can we do for the bishops? You know what? There's a document called Living the Gospel of Life. It was issued by the entire body of bishops in 1998. It's one of the best things that the body of bishops have said on life. If you go to our Priest for Life website, we have it up there. Just go to our search engine and type in Living the Gospel of Life. We have a path there to the whole document. And we also have a study guide for it too. I think if you reminded your pastor about what the bishops have said, I mean, there's so many phrases in there that are so good, having to do with the election and how to vote. Voting, pro-life is the most important. I think that would help. And maybe send a letter to your bishop and remind him, maybe he's a newer bishop that wasn't a bishop in 1998 when this document was issued, and maybe he's unfamiliar with it. So you could take a nice approach and say, Bishop, when I was doing research for the election, I found the greatest document. It's called Living the Gospel Life. Did you know it was issued by the whole body of bishops in 1998? I'm enclosing a copy for you with this letter. And I would just love to see the priests in our diocese preach more on the bishop's very words. So that might be a way to encourage bishops and pastors and priests to preach more using the words of the bishops. And here's one example they give in that document. This is one of my favorite examples. They talk about a house. And they say, well, when you build a house, if the foundation is not strong and solid, right? What will happen? The house, you can't put up the walls and the roof and the cross beams and all that, right? Because it doesn't have a strong foundation. So in this document, they show the image of, well, the foundation, that's abortion and euthanasia. And then, of course, there's other issues like everyone tells us. There's education and poverty and housing. Well, those are the walls and the cross beams and the windows and the roof. But if we have not protected life at the very foundation, then everything else crumbles. So it's almost like, you know, you can't worry about a baby's what's your education plan? They got to get born first, right? Oh, what kind of medical coverage are they going to have? They have to be born first. What's your housing plan for them? They have to be born first. So that document, that's just one example of so many things the bishop said in that document. Living the gospel life, that's the thing you can run with and be very confident in helping to have priests and their bishops speak more about life issue. Okay, let's see. Do we have another question? No. Okay, then I'm going to show you another clip. The other important thing that happened, I thought, this week was last night at the convention. Sister Deirdre Byrne. I mean, this was another amazing thing. Twice in 1 week, 2 speakers with such a clarion call about abortion. Let's listen to what Sister Deirdre said last night.
Good evening. I'm Sister Dee Byrne, and I belong to the community of the Little Workers of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary. Last 4th of July, I was honored to be one of the President's guests at his Salute to America celebration. I must confess that I recently prayed while in chapel, begging God to allow me to be a voice and instrument for human life. And now here I am, speaking at the Republican National Convention. I guess you better be careful for what you pray for. My journey to religious life was not a traditional route, if there is such a thing. In 1978, as a medical school student at Georgetown University, I joined the Army to help pay for my tuition and ended up devoting 29 years to the military, serving as a doctor and a surgeon in places like Afghanistan and Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. After much prayer and contemplation, I entered my religious order in 2002, working to serve the poor and the sick in Haiti, Sudan, Kenya, Iraq, and in Washington, D.C. Humility is at the foundation of our order, which makes it very difficult to talk about myself. But I can speak about my experience working for those fleeing war-torn and impoverished countries all around the world. Those refugees all share a common experience. They have been all marginalized, viewed as insignificant, powerless, and voiceless. And while we tend to think of the marginalized as living beyond our borders, the truth is the largest marginalized group in the world can be found here in the United States. They are the unborn. As Christians, we first met Jesus as a stirring embryo in the womb of an unwed mother and saw him born 9 months later in the poverty of the cave. It's no coincidence that Jesus stood up for what was just and was ultimately crucified because what he said wasn't politically correct or fashionable. As followers of Christ, we are called to stand up for life against the politically correct or fashionable of today. We must fight against a legislative agenda that supports and even celebrates destroying life in the womb. Keep in mind, the laws we create define how we see our humanity. And we must ask ourselves, what are we saying when we go into a womb and snuff out an innocent, powerless, voiceless life? As a physician, I can say without hesitation, life begins at conception. While what I have to say may be difficult for some to hear, I am saying it because I'm not just pro-life, I'm pro-eternal life, and I want all of us to end up in heaven together someday. Which brings me to why I'm here today. Donald Trump is the most pro-life president that this nation has ever had, defending life at all stages. His belief in the sanctity of life transcends politics. President Trump will stand up against Biden-Harris, who are the most anti-life presidential ticket ever, even supporting the horrors of late-term abortion and infanticide. Because of his courage and conviction, President Trump has earned the support of America's pro-life community. Moreover, he has a nationwide of religious standing behind him. You'll find us here with our weapon of choice, the rosary. So thank you, Mr. President. We are all praying for you.
I mean, was she not awesome? So just like with Abby Johnson, once again, Sister had to give her talk over to the RNC. They vetted her speech. maybe edited it, shortened it, whatever, so it would be within the time constraints. But again, allowed her to say the word abortion, talk about abortion. This, again, very historic. She said to have, let's pray for the president. And that reminds me, here at Priests for Life, at our online store, which is prolifeproducts.org, we have a great t-shirt. I'm going to cover up, let me so you can see it. Pray for 45. See it? Pray for 45. And so if you'd like to order one of these to follow up what Sister Dee Dee said, we need to be praying for our president right now during this election. I saw a commentator on the news the other day say, you know what? In the history of the United States of America, we have never had a president before, from the moment he took office, he has not had a break. They can't say anything positive about the man. But you should go Google promises made, promises kept, to see the long list of all the promises he made to the American people, and he has followed through on them. And again, if you'd like to order this, he needs our prayers. He really does, and his whole family. But pray for Trump. It's a great way to go out there and promote the president by praying for him. And go to prolifeproducts.org if you would like to get one of those t-shirts. And of course, Susan DeLuca said hello. Hi, Susan. Susan used to work at Priests for Life in our New York office. And I hope one day, Susan, you can come to Florida and visit. I know you're living in Florida, a few hours south of us. So you need to give me a call and let's have a visit to our office. Okay, we have another question now. It comes from Juanita Lynn, and she writes, what is the best way to approach young women who desire an abortion when you know that she does, but she doesn't want to approach another to ask for help? Okay, so a young woman wants to have the abortion, but she doesn't want to ask for help. Well, first of all, if you know she wants to have an abortion, you probably know she's made an appointment, or she's already been to the clinic once to see if she was actually pregnant. Free pregnancy tests, or she even took one of the over-the-counter ones, and she has an appointment. She's contemplating an abortion. All right. You don't have a lot of time. Most of the time, it's a few days you've got till she's going to show up at the abortion clinic. So you have to be that voice of reason to say, I'm here for you. And you have to find out, why is she seeking that abortion? If you can find out what's the fear, because most of it is fear. Is she afraid to tell someone in her family she's pregnant? Is it that she doesn't have the money, medical expenses? Is it she might lose her job, her education, or something? There's always a fear factor. So you would want to ask what that is, and then say, well, listen, do you know there's help available? And you can Google ahead of time, pregnancycenters.org, pregnancycenters.org. Put in your zip code, you'll see where the nearest pregnancy help center is, where you can get some help for her. So that's what I would suggest. Okay, another question, which I'm going to need some water to answer some more questions, okay? In the heart of hearts, do you ever believe Roe v. Wade will ever be overturned? I hope it will, but I'm not sure. Well, Sheila, guess what? I think it's going to happen, but I got to take a sip of water first. Thank you. This is honest TV here. Most commentators, they keep a big mug of something by them. I think I have to start keeping a mug of water here for me. But I'll explain why I think Roe v. Wade can be overturned. It's this. Right now, we don't have enough justices that can overturn the decision. Let me take you back. When Roe v. Wade was decided, it was a 7-2. That was the judges. Okay, 7 were in favor of Roe and 2 dissented. Right now, we have a 5-4 majority on the court. So you're really, really not going to get them at a 5-4 majority to have a case come up that they're going to look to overturn Roe in that. So what's really important is that we reelect our president and we keep the Senate majority, because in the next 4 years, it is very, very likely that 2, not 1, but 2 Supreme Court justices will retire and have to be replaced. One of them is Ginsburg, and the other is, I always forget the second one, but they're both in their late 80s. And Ginsburg has been very ill, unfortunately. I don't wish her any ill, but the chances are in the next 4 years, one or both of them will have to be replaced. Now, if those two, okay, which are very far left Supreme Court justices, get replaced by a pro-life president like President Trump, well, he's going to give us another Kavanaugh or another, Gorsuch. So then finally, if our guys stay healthy, the other guys will have that 7-2, and I think it can happen. There's already been some cases that have gone up to the Supreme Court that have begun to chip away, as they would say, at Roe. So I think we just have to get that a bigger majority on the court, and I think it's going to happen. But what is also very important is what happens in your own state. Because, unfortunately, when Roe v. Wade is overturned, abortion is still going to remain legal in quite a few states. It's just like before Roe in 73, abortion was legal in 5 states already, 2 of which are the capital states of abortion, which was New York and California. Well, those 2 states, in fact, New York recently, a few years ago, as you know, passed a law making abortion legal up till birth. Because up till that point, see, New York, abortion was legal before Roe. Abortion was legal there only up to 24 weeks. And it stayed on the books all these years. But then the pro-abort lobby there up in New York said, yeah, we got to change that. We can't have it stop at 24 weeks. After all, we have to let women have abortions up to birth. And so they've expanded their law in New York State. California has certain laws, and other states, what they're doing is they're passing these laws expanding abortion in their states. So what happens in your state is very, very important. So showing up to vote this election year, it's so important because what's at stake? The presidency, a third of the Senate, the entire House, and then you have your local races in your own state, right? Your state legislature. And it's very important the laws we pass in the states, because when the day comes, which I think is going to come soon, where we can overturn Roe, well, then it throws it back to the states. Now, some states, like I know, Louisiana, which actually Louisiana, I think, has the most bills on their in their state to protect the unborn, they have already passed what's called a trigger law. And their trigger law says that when Roe v. Wade is overturned, abortion will be illegal in the state of Louisiana. And there's other states that are pushing and fighting to pass those kind of laws. So I hope that answers your question. It is very, very important what happens in the states. And that's why this election is so much, because we could get 2 more Supreme Court justices. And I think, it's in addition to abortion, which, as you know, is the most important issue for us, protect the unborn. But if you think if we get a more of a, what I would call a super majority on the court, how many other cases will we also win for religious freedom? And I mean, the list just goes on and on. So there's a lot at stake at this election. So I'm hoping that you are inspired during these 2 clips we saw and some of our commentary that you're going to get involved in. And again, if you want to get involved, Father Frank and I and Byron White, and our whole team here at Priest Life, we need your help. If you go to prolifevolunteer.com, fill out that form. Again, prolifevolunteer.com, fill out that form, and we'll be in touch with you, because we can give you things you can do right in your own home, at your own computer, that we can have success in this election. I think we have another question. Okay. Esther King is asking a question. She says, has Priest for Life, Silent No More, or some other pro-life organization made any recommendations for potential Supreme Court nominees to President Trump? Well, actually, Priest for Life, we don't have to make the recommendations, because there are actually groups that do that. And what they do is they send around those recommendations to the pro-life leaders so that we're aware, and they give us the curriculum vitae of the justices, And so one of them is called, I always forget the name of the group now, but there are several groups. They vet the list. And President Trump has said, come the fall, when he's out on the campaign trail, pretty soon he's going to release his list, and that's what he did in 2016. He released the list of, here's the list that I'm going to pick from. And from that list, he picked Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. So he really keeps his promises. And he's got to have another good, stellar list like that, that these legal pro-life, see, the groups that vet the judges, the people who they're going to give the president list to, these are pro-life legal organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom and so many others. So Priests for Life, our role is not in recommending them, because we're not as familiar with all the judges all over the country. Like, who would you recommend? But what does happen is they bring us into the conversation, and they let us know why certain people are on the list. And, you know, I mean, they're always stellar candidates that they put on that list. I've never seen anybody that I would say, oh my gosh, why is that person there? They're always amazing people that have had some very, very good decisions. In fact, Kavanaugh, he was in the district court when our Priest for Life case from the HH mandate was coming up through the court. So he was very favorable to us at that level. So we certainly knew he was a A1 good guy to be on the Supreme Court. So I hope that answers your question. We don't get directly involved, but indirectly we're involved to help. So I don't think we have any more questions, right? We're good? All right, inquiring minds are all set. So we have a homework assignment for you, which is 2 clips I showed you, Abby Johnson's and Sister Deirdre. They're out there on our Priest for Life website. They're also out on YouTube. Share them, because, you know, not everybody tuned into the convention. So I want you to share them, make people aware, tell them how historic this was. This is the first time the word abortion was covered multiple times during this convention. Of course, we need your help to volunteer. Go to prolifevolunteer.com. I also asked you if you'd like to order the party comparison. Go to prolifeproducts.org. Tell us how many copies you'd like. And of course, while you're there ordering a party comparison, we can get our t-shirts to Pray for 45. So thank you for joining me on this segment. And until next time, this is Janet Morana at Priest for Life. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. And let's go forward to victory. Thank you and God bless.